Hey everybody, Happy New Year. Welcome to What the Flick. Christy, Alonso, Matt, Ben. We got a year behind us and we do like things. So we're gonna talk about our favorite films of 2017.
I had because I didn't see nearly as many movies as you guys this year, and I made some wise skipping choices.
Did you?
Because I was looking over your worst list and Alonso's worst list.
We're talking about best movies.
I just want to, yes, I got that. But I mean,
save that for the worst clip.
No, I'm just saying.
Click on that one.
Man, let him say speak his piece.
Everything I saw, like just about, was like, oh, this was good. Like this felt like a high percentage year. And then I look at your all's worst list. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I didn't see that.
You had a well curated.
I had a really well curated.
Okay,
that's right.
Must be nice.
So we're gonna say our top three, and then we'll have discussions about what our number one is for each of us. So my number 3 is I, Tonya, which I love, which is amazing, which you can watch our clip of. We can see why it's great. Number 2 is Phantom Thread, which is a ridiculously amazing movie, and it's a very, very high number 2 for me. And now Alonso will do his 3 and 2.
My number 3 is Lady Bird, Greta Gerwig's Growing Up in Sacramento in 2002 film. It's beautifully written and so well acted and a really moving and wonderful coming of age story. My number 2 is Call Me By Your Name, which I'm wearing the Army Hammer dancing shirt today.
Does that Twitter feed still exist, by the way?
I think they had to take it down because of copyright stuff or something, which is too bad. Anyway, a great love story and a really sort of beautifully poignant film about a first romance and nostalgia and all of those things. Matt?
I had a lot of favorites. This was tough to choose from. I'm gonna go with my number 3 was I, Tonya.
Oh.
That was one that really caught me off guard. And then number 2 might be slightly flawed, but it's one of my favorites of the year, Thor Ragnarok.
That's a really fun movie.
Loved Thor Ragnarok. Yeah. It's the best one of the Thor movies. It's one of the better ones, the Marvel movies in the last few years.
Super
fun. Huge fan of Taika Waititi. What We Do in the Shadows is still one of my favorite movies of the last 10 years.
Very funny.
This one I loved.
So when I was trying to put the list together, the movies that aren't on the list are staggering, and I mean the same for you, because so many movies like on Christie's top 10 list, which I read most recently. But I mean, for me, like Big Sick, Florida Project, and
Colossal,
Logan Lucky, which I loved, and Lucky, and all these movies, Get Out, Lady Bird, I think it was a really good year.
It was.
Yeah, and
it's hard enough coming up with 10, let alone 3.
Right,
so.
and I wanted to put Wormwood on, but I didn't. But I mean, Wormwood also, which is now you can see on Netflix, which is kind of just amazing. I hate not putting the post on, but it finished 4th. I, Tonya, which seems to be everybody's number 3. That's where it belongs, but I couldn't love it more.
See, now if I, Tonya, had hit somebody in the knee, it would be at number 1.
Right, totally.
If it hit Lady Bird in the knee.
Clearly you could love it more if you have 2 movies that you like better than that.
Your number 2 is also my number 2, Call Me By Your Name. Which I thought it was just again, as good a love story as there can be.
Well, your number 2s are my number 1. Woo woo! Call Me By Your Name. I need that shirt now, apparently. Yeah.
You guys should change shirts right now.
Let's do it. It's fine. We're all friends here. So.
Sorry, that was
anyway,
inappropriate. Sorry.
It's
my bad.
I sobbed. It's swoony. It's gorgeous. It's beautifully acted, and it's so subtle, and it's beautifully written. And I mean, what more can I possibly say about this movie that I've already said? You see it in the biggest screen you can find. Timothée Chalamet is a star. Armie Hammer I'm in love with, as you all know.
Michael Stuhlbarg.
Michael Stuhlbarg gives like the most perfect monologue of the entire year.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's tactile, it's lush, but it's also imperfectly lush. Like it feels real and warm, and yeah, just go see it. I mean, you know it's good. Go ahead.
My number 1 is the documentary Faces Places from Agnes Varda and J.R. Varda is one of the last surviving members of the French New Wave. J.R. is an installation artist who puts photorealistic art on the sides of silos and train cars and buildings, and the 2 of them travel around France. They go to small towns and villages and factories, and they take pictures of the people who live there, and they put those pictures on the sides of buildings, and they get to know the people that they're working with, and you get to know these 2 artists. And Varda is just an extraordinary filmmaker. She won an honorary Oscar this year, which is long overdue. And she has been doing these extraordinary personal documentaries for the last few years. You need to see The Gleaners and I, you need to see The Beaches of Agnes. And this one is such a moving look at the artistic process and about getting older and about collaboration and so many things, and it's incredibly moving and powerful, and I just started weeping a couple times in the movie for things I can't even point to and say, oh, that scene did it, just hit me. It's a gorgeous movie, could not love it more. Faces, Places, check it out.
So I guess I have to see it now.
No, sorry.
There were a lot of movies that caught me off guard this year, and I didn't even mention them in my top 3. You know, Split, I thought was a great surprise from Shyamalan. Colossal, which is a movie that on paper should never work. That movie's clever. Amazing. Yeah. Mountain Between Us was
right.
Y'all are crazy.
Unappreciated.
Come on, that movie's awesome.
Dog Saves the World movie.
Right. Atomic Blonde, super fun. But my favorite, I saw it in January, hit it at the top of the year, and it was the movie by which everything else had to compare to, and nothing quite matched it. Even though Phantom Thread is great, there's a lot of movies that are dramatic and maybe more emotionally moving, but this movie is perfect. Get Out. Went into Get Out thinking Get Out was like, okay, yeah, I want to see what Jordan Peele's doing. Sure, this will be fun. And holy shit, like it's got something, like, yeah, okay, the obvious parts, it's got something to say, right? But it's also really funny, like legit funny, and the underappreciated thing I think in here a little bit is how Jordan Peele is so good at playing the audience. And he plays you like a violin. And this is a movie that I think really benefits from being seen in the theater, but there's, you know, he puts a lot of subtle moments in there. You go back and watch it 2 or 3 times and you see there's certain things in there like that maybe you start catching later and you think, oh wow, that was in there too. But the way he plays you, especially by the end of the film, the way you think things are gonna go I was riveted by this movie, I was blown away, and I can't wait to see what he does next. I love the fact that Jordan Peele is gonna be resurrecting the Twilight Zone. I used to think that would be the perfect gig for Shyamalan, but I love that Peele's gonna do that because the best Twilight Zones have a lot of social commentary in them. And so that's what I'm really excited to see. Get Out is best movie of the year, far and away.
It's great. Get Out's great. It's a good call.
If you have anything else to say, Get Out.
Yeah, I couldn't have loved Get Out more. So you say that your favorite movie was from January, and it's certainly a good call. And I'm telling you that next January of 2019, we'll all be sitting there, and I will be putting The Commuter at #1. I feel very strongly about that. When does that come out? I can't wait.
Next week. It screens on Tuesdays.
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neesoning.
My #1 is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Get Out.
Good one.
I was enormously moved by this movie, and while being enormously moved, laughed 28 times. Like it has a lively script enhanced by just this a spectacular cast from top, obviously, Frances McDormand likely to get an Oscar nomination. Be surprised if she didn't.
Probably win.
Yeah, well,
who beats her?
Maybe
Saoirse.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Margot.
And John Hawkes is always so good. Jordan Peele was in it too. He was great.
What can't he do?
What can't he? Peter Dinklage. It was so good.
Jordan Peele as Peter
Woody
Dinklage.
Harrelson.
He's amazing.
Woody Harrelson was so good, and Sam Rockwell was. It just and.
Were you with us when we did it on What the Flick? I can't remember if you were here.
I just saw it.
I remember we didn't talk about Sam Rockwell nearly enough. I realized in retrospect we did not sing the praises of Sam Rockwell. Can we do that
Sure,
right now?
yeah, let's
Please,
sing the praises of Sam Rockwell.
When are we going to get the Sam Rockwell dance movie?
He seems in the beginning of the movie, because it's Sam Rockwell that he's going to have an important role, but he does not seem like he's going to be as central a figure in the film in the first 40 minutes. He almost seems like, again, a sort of a typically racist foil for Woody Harrelson to establish Woody Harrelson, who may not be the greatest cop in the world, but establish, well, he's not Sam Rockwell, so I guess we have to trust this guy. And then sort of slowly, again, like how I felt with the movie we reviewed earlier today, Hostiles, that there to me was this credible character change. In Sam Rockwell, and
he has an arc.
He had a nice arc, and I just I thought this movie was beautiful and filled with people who you felt like you'd be comfortable knowing despite their flaws. Yeah. So I like the heck out of 3 Three Billboards.
Yeah, it's so profane, like so richly profane, but never in a way that feels gratuitous. It's just totally who these people are, what this setting is. There are all these
Even like,
pieces,
Lucas Hedges, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Everyone's good in it. There are all these pre-awards think pieces popping up, and I would be curious to hear your thoughts about it, about the racial tenor of this film.
Yes, Ira Madison had that piece on Daily Beast where he was just sort of appalled by the movie, but I've read other films basically saying that yes, these characters are sort of racist and short-sighted, and that's what the movie's about, and that's the point of the film. And I'm sort of still kind of weighing out what people are saying about it. I think the performances are undeniable, and I think the writing has a real snap to it.
The writing really does.
But what it really means and what it's really about, I think is an ongoing conversation. And frankly, any movie that can sustain an ongoing conversation is a fairly rare thing these days. So I'm happy to have it.
Are people misinterpreting what he means by it? Like, clearly that is the point. That there is closed-mindedness, intolerance, whatever. I don't view this movie as a celebration of that in any way. No. But people are, I think that there's a disconnect between how we as critics often feel about it and the way others are receiving it.
But to circle back to like what we were saying about Hostiles, it's a movie about how white American settlers treated the indigenous people terribly, and the indigenous characters in the movie aren't really handled very well. This is a movie where Sam Rockwell's character is established as a racist, and the black characters in the film are so minor and to the side. It's sort of like, So again, I'm not coming out for or against that stuff, but I do think that people are making interesting points on that.
And to go back to Hostiles, because it's relevant relevant to this, is that where the things that I know we all object to with the same sort of fervor is this idea where you make movies about people who have been subjugated significantly, and then there's some white savior. There is no white savior in Hostiles. He doesn't save anybody.
No.
Right? And there is, and
spoiler alert, in case you haven't watched Hostiles yet, sorry.
And that's not the point, though. And there's no, there's no particular saving going on here, right? It is an examination of the lives of these people.
Right. But he is allowed a level of redemption, let's say.
Sam Rockwell is.
Yes.
Are we talking about Sam Rockwell here or Christian Bale?
Sam Rockwell and Three Billboards.
He is allowed a level of
Three Hostile Billboards.
He is allowed a level of redemption, but he did suffer. I mean, he certainly had. He did pay for that redemption. But yes, and we don't know even what he is because the ending is so lovelily ambiguous.
I like that too.
Right. And Woody Harrelson's line about, line about cops was so good. Like, if you get rid of all the racists, and all you'd be left with is the F word, right? But again, it's an examination of, that to me is like, it's closer to understanding in a debate about police officers about whether they should be, whether there are heroes and only heroes and nothing else, or whether they're monsters and only monsters and nothing else. I advise people to see, they're mostly, there's a lot of Woody Harrelson, I suspect.
I'm just really happy that the movie I picked as the best of the year has absolutely no controversy attached to it whatsoever. That's me. I'm middle of the road.
Dodge that bullet.
So anyway, those are our best of picks, and I know that we have done full reviews of all of these movies except for Faces Places, because Alonso had to go and pick that. But with me,
Sorry.
maybe we can play catch up with it.
Sure,
Since
I will
have that screener. Let's do it.
Game.
January is slow. Maybe we'll play catch up with Anya. So please go check out all our best, and we're also doing a worst of clip, so watch that too, and thank you. Bye.